Witchcraft has always carried a sting. The word itself once conjured up images of heretics at the stake, midwives blamed for plague, and cunning folk whispered about in the village square. The witch was not safe, not respectable, not welcome at the table of polite society. The witch was dangerous, a threat to authority, a figure who lived in the margins and defied the systems that sought to control her. That danger, that raw edge, was the very thing that gave witchcraft its power. But somewhere along the line, the teeth were filed down. Witchcraft became a brand, neatly packaged for Instagram grids, lifestyle shops, and coffee table books that smell more of marketing departments than midnight rituals. The witch is dressed in soft pastels, selling candles for self-care and crystals for positive vibes. She's a model for corporate feminism, stripped of her fangs and turned into something palatable, even aspirational. A symbol, yes, but a hollow one. The witch has been whitewashed, drained of her grit, her politics, her blood and bone reality. Punk Magic rejects that repackaging. Punk Magic says the witch does not need to be safe, pretty, or marketable. She doesn't exist to make anyone comfortable. She exists to disrupt, to hex, to heal on her own terms, to protect the vulnerable, and to spit in the face of power. Just as punk music snarled back against the polished plastic sounds of mainstream rock, punk magic snarls back against the domesticated witch. It refuses the smoothing over of rebellion. It keeps the teeth sharp. This is not about being edgy for the sake of it. It's about remembering that witchcraft has always been the craft of outsiders, queers, rebels, and heretics. It's about reclaiming the witch as she is meant to be, raw, untamed, and unapologetic. Punk magic does not ask for permission and does not seek validation. It thrives in cracks of the system, in the places too messy for the spotlight. The witch is not whitewashed. She is still here, bloody knuckled, dirt under her fingernails, eyes bright with fire, and she is not going to be made safe for anyone. Witchcraft has never been safe, but capitalism has worked overtime to convince us otherwise. What was once a threat to church and crown has been rebranded as a Pinterest mood board, available for purchase in box sets complete with soy candle, rose quartz, and a half-hearted spellbook. The witch has been scrubbed clean, wrapped in packaging, and sold as an accessory. You can now buy witchcraft in a wellness catalogue alongside yoga mats and essential oils. This is not witchcraft with teeth. This is witchcraft without bite, witchcraft made into lifestyle decor. The whitewashing runs deeper than just consumer packaging. It is a cultural flattening. Traditions with roots in African, indigenous, and diasporic communities are picked apart and sold piecemeal with no respect for context or lineage. Smudging becomes a generic cleansing ritual. Voodoo veves are pasted onto t-shirts. Hoodoo is cherry-picked for money spells without honoring its history and resistance by enslaved peoples. The result is witchcraft stripped of its blood and struggle, presented instead as a universal practice that anyone can step into with a credit card and a hashtag. Punk magic spits at that erasure. Witchcraft is not universal wallpaper. It is specific, rooted, and forged in the fires of culture and conflict. Whitewashing also takes the form of spiritual sanitization. In the modern witch aesthetic, curses are taboo, blood is avoided, bones are too dark, and anything that reeks of death or dirt is swept under the rug. What's left is a witchcraft that is nothing but self-care and positivity, a saccharine caricature that has no resemblance to the crooked paths walked by cunning folk, hedge witches, and poisoners of old. Witchcraft is not meant to be wholesome. It is meant to be real, and reality includes grief, rage, dirt, blood, and bone. To sanitize witchcraft is to neuter it, to make it powerless, to declaw the very beast that has always frightened the powers that be. Our modern answer to this has been to throw the fangs to the other side and package the darkness in edgelords and Western practices that are largely based on fantasy, fiction, and lies. This is why punk magic insists on keeping the mess intact. Just as punk music resisted being smoothed over into radio-friendly pop, punk magic resists being turned into a neat, digestible practice for mass consumption. Punk didn't arrive polished, it arrived raw, fast, and jagged, played in basements and squats, not arenas. It was never meant to be pretty. Likewise, witchcraft was never meant to be a soothing wallpaper. It was, and is, the craft of outsiders, people with dirt under their nails and rage in their bellies. The whitewashing of witchcraft is not accidental, it is strategic. Power structures cannot destroy witchcraft outright, so they do the next best thing. They neutralize it. They sell it back to us as something harmless. They turn the witch from a threat into a fashion icon. They make her safe to consume, so she can no longer bite. But witchcraft that does not bite is no witchcraft at all. Punk magic rips the teeth back from the jaws of this beast. It refuses the bland commercial witch sold in chain stores and insists on the witch who digs in graveyards, who spits curses at abusers, who honors ancestors with dirt and blood, who refuses to smile sweetly for a photo shoot. Punk magic says, if your witchcraft doesn't scare someone, you're not digging deep enough. If it looks good on a coffee mug, it's already been declawed. The witch is not here to be safe. The witch is here to haunt, to hex, to resist, and to burn. Whitewashing is an attempt to bury that truth. Punk magic digs it up again, laughing with mud on its hands. The witch was never meant to be an influencer. She wasn't a lifestyle coach, a mascot for empowerment slogans, or a face for glossy magazine spreads. The witch was the outsider, the dangerous neighbor, the one whispered about in the dark. In folklore, she was the poisoner, the wise woman, the midwife, the stormcaller. She was accused of shapeshifting, of flying to sabbats, of speaking with spirits that decent folk feared to name. The witch was the one you went to when nothing else worked, and the one you condemned when things went wrong. She was both healer and heretic, a figure society wanted and hated in the same breath. That's the true nature of the witch, outlaw, not lifestyle brand. But today we're sold the witch in glossy wrappers. Witch has been turned into a chic identity, a style choice you can accessorize. Buy the right crystals, wear black wide-brimmed hats, light scented candles, post your altar on social media, and suddenly you're a witch. This isn't witchcraft, it's cosplay for capitalism. It's witchcraft as a branding exercise, witchcraft stripped of its teeth so it can be consumed without fear. The witch becomes a lifestyle, curated, aesthetic, monetized, harmless. Punk magic calls bullshit on that. A witch without danger is not a witch at all. A witch who exists only as an aesthetic is a mannequin dressed in someone else's rebellion. The true witch doesn't care about being marketable. She doesn't need approval from a feed or validation from strangers. She is defined by her refusal to be assimilated, by her ability to walk outside the lines and strike against power without hesitation. History remembers witches as threats. They were feared because they embodied autonomy, because they claimed power that wasn't sanctioned by church or crown. They were outlaw figures precisely because they lived outside control. They healed in ways doctors couldn't. They cursed when justice was denied. They trafficked with spirits instead of priests. The outlaw status of the witch is not a romantic fantasy. It was the lived reality of anyone accused of her craft. To be called a witch was to be branded dangerous, uncontrollable, ungovernable. Punk magic insists we return to that core, not to reenact the past as some grim costume, but to reclaim the witch's teeth in the present. The witch is not here to soothe. She is not here to decorate your living room. She is here to stand outside respectability, to unsettle, to hex, to embody power that refuses assimilation. The witch is outlaw, not lifestyle brand. The real witch can't be sold. Respectability has always been a trap. It dangles the illusion of safety. Behave yourself, play by the rules, present yourself as clean and acceptable. Maybe those in power will leave you alone, but the witch was never respectable, and witchcraft that bends itself into respectability ceases to be witchcraft at all. Look at the modern landscape. Glossy hardbacks in chain stores, witch themed spreads in fashion magazines, pastel tinted witch kits marketed as mindfulness. Witchcraft is paraded in front of the mainstream as something quirky, trendy, and unthreatening. It's carefully curated to make the witch look safe, stylish, and palatable. Even the TV witches, once terrifying figures commanding storms and summoning spirits, are now designed to be market-friendly, lovable characters, full of life lessons and feminist slogans that won't scare anyone in power. The teeth are gone. The danger is gone. The witch has been dressed up for dinner with respectability. Respectability isn't protection, it's submission. When witchcraft seeks the validation of the mainstream, it loses the very essence of what makes it powerful. The witch has always been threatening precisely because she refused to conform. She hexed kings, cursed landlords, whispered secrets to the dead. She didn't tidy herself up for approval, and she didn't need anyone's permission to act. The moment witchcraft tries to appeal to the mainstream, it becomes domesticated, and domesticated witchcraft is nothing but performance. Punk magic thrives outside that system. Just as punk music laughed at the polished virtuosity of mainstream rock, punk witchcraft laughs at the idea of needing to look good for outsiders. The rituals don't have to be pretty. The altars don't have to be Instagram worthy. The work can be raw, improvised, messy, and still shake the bones of the world. A punk witch doesn't need to be liked. Respectability politics are poison to the craft because they seduce witches into forgetting their role as troublemakers, outsiders, and rebels. They whisper, be palatable, be marketable, be safe, when the craft's history is written in blood, rebellion, and fire. Punk magic answers back, no. The witch has never belonged at the table of power. She belongs in the margins, in the wild places, in the shadows where rebellion brews. Witchcraft is not for pleasing authority. It is for unsettling it, resisting it, outliving it. Punk magic keeps the witch raw, dangerous, and unbowed. Respectability be damned. Witchcraft has never been the property of a single culture, colour, or tradition. It has always belonged to the margins, to people cast outside the walls of power. It grew in the cracks of empire and survived in whispers passed down by those who were never meant to survive. To whitewash witchcraft is not only to sanitize it, it is to erase the bloodlines and struggles of the people who kept it alive. Look at the histories. In Europe, witches were peasants, midwives, cunning folk, often women crushed under poverty and suspicion. In the African diaspora, enslaved peoples preserved and transformed their traditions into acts of survival and rebellion, from hoodoo to voodoo, braiding magic into daily life as a weapon against oppression. Indigenous peoples carried ceremonial practices through colonization, often in secret, keeping alive magic that colonizers tried to stamp out. Queer folk, persecuted and criminalized, found in witchcraft a space of power and transformation outside society's approval. Witchcraft is not a single neat lineage, it is a patchwork of defiance, stitched together by those who refused to disappear. When witchcraft is repackaged for mass consumption, these roots are ignored, erased, or stolen. Smudging becomes a witchy room cleansing hack. Hoodoo money drawing practices are ripped from context and sold on TikTok without a whisper of their history. Tarot decks are churned out like fashion accessories, while the Romani people who preserved cartomancy face ongoing persecution. The result is witchcraft gutted of its radical diversity, stripped of context and sold back to us as a one-size-fits-all aesthetic. Punk magic refuses that theft. It honors roots rather than flattening them. It insists that witchcraft is not universal spirituality, but something woven from countless specific, dangerous, radical traditions. To practice punk magic is to acknowledge the blood in the soil, the ancestors behind the work, and the cultures that fought to keep their magic alive in the face of colonization, slavery, and persecution. It doesn't mean cherry-picking rituals from traditions you don't belong to. It means recognizing that witchcraft's power lies in its diversity, its multiplicity, its refusal to be homogenized. Just as punk is built by working-class kids, by immigrants, by queers and outsiders, so too is witchcraft the art of the marginalized. It is not a polished uniform sound, but cacophony, raw, loud, clashing, alive. Punk magic embraces that spirit. It does not whitewash the witch into a neutral lifestyle product. It honors the witch as she has always been, diverse, rooted, dangerous, stitched together from the survival of the unwanted. To claim the witch while erasing her roots is theft. To practice witchcraft without acknowledging its radical diversity is to walk with your eyes shut. Punk magic keeps its eyes wide open, bloodshot and blazing. It honors the many, not the bland one. It remembers that witchcraft is not whitewashed, but radical, rooted, and unrepentantly diverse. Witchcraft is not decoration. It is not an accessory to hang beside your plants or a hobby to fill your weekends. Witchcraft is a dangerous art, born of necessity, sharpened in struggle, and practiced with the knowledge that every spell is an act of defiance. To call yourself a witch is to step into a lineage of danger, to wield power in a world that would rather you remain powerless. Danger has always been the pulse of the craft. Witches were feared not because they were quaint, but because they were believed capable of breaking crops, cursing kings, calling storms, and speaking to the dead. Even when accusations were rooted in hysteria or scapegoating, they revealed a truth. Society has always seen the witch as a threat to order. And that threat is the very marrow of the art. Witchcraft is not here to comfort the system, it is here to disrupt it. Modern witchcraft often tries to sand down those edges, but punk magic won't have it. Punk magic remembers that the spell is a weapon as much as it is a balm. A curse spoken against an abuser is witchcraft. A hex against a landlord is witchcraft. Protection charms drawn for protesters, ancestors invoked to strengthen resistance, spirits called to watch the streets. All of this is witchcraft in its rawest form. It is political because survival is political. It is dangerous because the world it resists demands obedience. Dangerous art is not reckless art. Punk magic doesn't glorify empty shock or chaos for its own sake. Like punk music, which was crude but deliberate, witchcraft as dangerous art is intentional and sharp. It knows that sometimes a ritual should heal and sometimes it should destroy. Sometimes it whispers softly and sometimes it screams. What makes it dangerous is not random destruction but unapologetic agency, the refusal to bow, the refusal to be told what magic should or should not be. To work witchcraft as dangerous art is to accept that it will make people uncomfortable. It will not always be pretty, polite, or easily digestible. It will not fit neatly into spiritual self-help manuals. It will shock, disturb, unsettle, because it is alive with teeth and blood. That is its beauty. Its danger is its power. Punk magic insists we reclaim this truth. We don't need witchcraft that flatters authority or soothes oppressors. We need witchcraft that burns sigils into concrete, that leaves offerings in the gutters, that curses exploiters and shelters the vulnerable. We need witchcraft as rebellion, as survival, as art that cannot be contained. The witch's art is dangerous because it reminds us that power does not belong only to those who hoard it. It belongs to anyone willing to claim it, with dirt under their fingernails and fire in their chest. That is the art of the witch, raw, radical, and never safe. The witch was never meant to be safe. She was meant to terrify, to disrupt, to thrive in the cracks where power dared not look. To whitewash witchcraft is to neuter it, to strip away the fire and sell it back as a lifestyle product. Punk magic refuses that. It drags the witch back into the shadows where she belongs, dirt under her nails, blood on her lips, eyes burning with the knowledge that she owes no one an apology. Respectability wants a witch who smiles for the camera. Capitalism wants a witch who sells candles and hashtags. Whitewashing wants a witch who is soft, pastel, palatable. But the true witch will never be any of those things. She is the outlaw, the heretic, the outsider who hexes when justice is denied, who heals when systems have failed, who carries power without permission. She is not an aesthetic, she is a threat. To practice punk magic is to keep the teeth sharp. It is to refuse dilution, to honor roots, to walk with the dangerous edge intact. Witchcraft is not pretty, not polished, not marketable, and that is its strength. The witch who refuses to be whitewashed cannot be owned. She cannot be sold. She cannot be silenced. Witch, not whitewashed, always.